Well, it appears there's more trouble in paradise in the flourishing game of Magic the Gathering. The pros are now turning against Wizards of the Coast. Now, this is not the first time there's been a bit of animosity between the two. They had the Pay the Pros scandal. And before that, there were several other times in which the pros got uppity about a thing or two. But we had Jerry Thompson choosing to protest the state of professional Magic by refusing to play an MTG champ. Please read and share. So I want to get to some more pros responses, but let's look over his article here. He's talking about the current state. Whoa, almost fell over there. Talking about the current state. WotC does not pay professional players a living wage. This in and of itself is not a requirement. However, if the goal is to sell the dream of playing on the Pro Tour, there should be something in place to make that worth achieving. Between qualifying becoming more and more difficult, especially with the goalposts continually changing and the lack of reward at the top, the message currently being sent down is don't waste your time. I agree with him on this. I disagree that Wizards of the Coast is bound to pay them anything at all. I think the problem is professional Magic the Gathering is boring. If it wasn't boring, if it wasn't a more interesting esport, they would have sponsors. They would have real sponsored teams, and then their teams would have advertising deals that would pay the players. Now, that's not the players necessarily their fault. They also, I've been on record to say that they really do need to do better monetizing their own brand. But fair point. Wizards does not promote its players well. Oh, it's Worlds this weekend? I had no idea. How many people can name all 24 players qualified for this year's World Championship? How many can name 15? If you can't, don't worry, you're not alone. I couldn't name 2. I don't really love the attitudes of most pro players. It's not something that really interests me. But for many of you out there who like professional Magic, I wonder if you could answer that question. Talked about WotC's communication being notoriously poor. That is true, and been true for a very long time. The new Cycle Pro system is confusing, even for those who created it. Best resources you have for what your pro status is, how long it lasts, how many points, are fan-made spreadsheets. There aren't enough Pro Tour invites to satiate the player base. As Magic grows, it doesn't. It's shrinking. The top should grow to reflect that somewhat. Getting onto the Pro Tour is already difficult, but nearly impossible for those not located in North America. Additionally, first or dead last system like PPTQs create very few people who feel like they've accomplished something. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't think I'd have a problem with more players competing on the Pro Tour. Coverage is still abysmal. Over the years, WotC has received countless feedback, and all we have to show for it is an advantage bar. Worlds is using a pair of dead formats, Kaladesh Standard and Dominaria drafts, and was barely advertised. Why would anyone watch this? If it was a timing constraint to have the event on the weekend before the pre-release, you can use Modern. I 100% agree with that. With people like Alex Bertaccini and Jared Botcher, these are cheaters, still playing Magic, it doesn't send a strong enough message to those who would consider cheating, not comfortable with thieves being allowed inside tournament halls. Okay. This is a slippery slope. I've been on the record that I'm not a fan of Alex Bertaccini, but I'm also not a fan of people dogpiling him. It's not his fault that Wizards doesn't have. I mean, it's not like he something just floated across the screen there. So it's not like he posted an offensive meme. He only cheated at Magic. So I mean, that definitely doesn't warrant a lifetime ban. As I write this, I'm sitting in my Las Vegas hotel room waiting for the tournament to happen. We had to show up on Tuesday despite most of us having no commitments until midday Thursday. Deck lists were due Tuesday, which barely meant Monday, or basically meant Monday because forced travel on Tuesday. Plus, that information was communicated very late, which threw off many competitors' plans. Leading up to Worlds, we were spammed with 9 emails of varying importance. Buried in one of those rather lengthy emails was 2 paragraphs about needing RSVP. Yeah, and that screwed over some people. But it was eventually fixed. After Pro Tour 25th anniversary, players had to figure out our team rosters for next year and scuff for potential sponsors. But this was impossible due to the lack of information WotC had given us. Is there a Pro Tour? What if members of the team failed to achieve gold status for the last half of the season? No one had any answers. We were told to wait for more information, and we still don't have answers. Well, that's a valid complaint. Leading up to GP Sao Paulo, Wizards Magic Brazil account made 4 tweets about the GP, starting only 5 days before. They mentioned 3 artists and a panel and 2 WotC employees. Nothing about the tournament itself, nothing about the reigning player of the year. Well, yeah, but didn't they fly Wedge out there and the Professor? I thought they had the Professor. There is room to promote new sets, artists, cosplayers, and players, but better yet, work with your visible players to help promote these things. Remember Pro Tour Dominaria when Channel Fireball's innovative GU Karn deck was somehow posted on coverage? Their entire tournament was potentially ruined, and all they got was an apology. These mistakes severely impact tournament integrity and are not acceptable. That was bad. Everything surrounding the Silver Showcase was a disaster. And again, I know a lot of people in the Magic community don't like me. They'll say, yeah, he's an asshole. That's fine. But I told you that the Silver Showcase was going to be a disaster. And everyone just said, you're just hating. Just like everyone just thought I was hating with the Amazon deal. We'll talk about that later. If you want to get fresh eyeballs on Magic, there are 2 diminishing returns on inviting 3 Hearthstone player pros who likely share some chunk of the same audience. 2 of the players were former Magic players who left the game in search of greener pastures, and they were rewarded for it, not only by being successful, but by WotC themselves. The format they played Booster Draft with beta, rather old packs, isn't something that can be replicated by the viewers. The format was also not the best showcase for how great the game of Magic is. Imagine if a beta draft were your first introduction to Magic. Would a bunch of simplistic cards capture your attention by today's standards? If you did enjoy it, you couldn't even replicate the experience. Very good point. The budget for organized play is already small, and occasionally a large chunk of money funneled through is wasted on things like this. And he does say, he doesn't just complain. He says, we want a star build. He wants them to turn the players into stars. He wants better commentators who can follow the game, who are familiar with the formats, and can provide engaging commentary. That's a direct shot across the bow to BDM and Rich Hagon, stuff like that. Other things like production value and how to make limited interesting come in handy. Flashy animations, bright lights. A huge purse might make players check it out, but if the commentary isn't engaging, they will leave. Very good point. Create more Pro Tour invites. I agree with that. I'd like WotC to value the working relationship they have with the partners and various community members. Not going to happen. Their actions have indicated they feel like everyone is replaceable, and the only true if they don't care about your product and our community being the best they possibly can be. Most of these are good points, and you see a lot of pros in here. We have Oliver 2. This means so much. Thanks for doing this. You're going to see overwhelming support. And the point is that he's not wrong. Here's Patrick Sullivan, come to Baltimore. Evan Irwin, SCG paying for Jerry's flight and hotel to Baltimore would be an incredible move of support. They wanted him to come to the Star City Games event. You don't see a lot of the commentators in here. You see a lot of Magic pros. Here's Tolarian, bravo. Kristen Calcano, another pro. We don't deserve you. That's good. I don't necessarily disagree with his takes. I do genuinely devalue professional play. I think, in my opinion, and I think that the those in charge at Wizards of the Coast also do. I think their eyes are on the prize. They're going all in my opinion, on Magic Arena, creating an engaging esports environment that will actually bring sponsors into the game. I don't think that's going to work. Magic is too complex. Now, Jerry's points about better animation, better, commentators, these do combat that. But for someone just tuning in, there's way too much going on for them to really buy into it. Hearthstone's so easy to follow. Dota's easy to follow. You can see exactly what's happening in front of your face. There isn't a stack. And this is of no fault of Magic the Gathering. It's like complaining that there's not big money sponsors for chess. Chess is not exciting to watch except for chess fans, chess super fans. And that's how I feel about Magic the Gathering. That's how I feel about the future of competitive play, or it ever being an esport. I've been on record for 5 years saying that Magic's biggest problem with streaming or interest on Twitch is that it's boring to watch. It's amazing to play, but it's boring to watch. Good luck, pros, squeezing blood from a stone. I don't think this ends well for them, but I'll be interested to hear what you all have to say in the comment section down below.